I admit everyone that's in there right now.
We're recording. Hello. Everyone, unmute and uninvisible yourself. Admit him. If you can hear me, say hello. If you can hear me, say hello.
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 All right. If you can hear me, let me hear you say neo-noir.
Neo-noir.
All right. This is beautiful. We're just waiting for the people to pile on up in the room. We're having about 3,000 to 4,000 tonight. We're expecting, or maybe 300. We'll never know. We'll know when they get here.
Okay.
All right.
So what am I in a what is this? Are we live? Are we recording it live?
I ask myself that every day. What is this? This is actually a it's recording live, no doubt, indeed. You're live, I'm live. This is Rex. This is not AI. Let me put in a few more people. I'm just going to be bringing people in, and everybody sit tight. We have a few people coming in so that we're nice here. Oh my God. They just keep coming. Here we go. Good. Who wants to be at a party where nobody shows up, right? Let's have everybody show up here. Okay. All right. People keep ringing my doorbell. Who are these people?
You got Mike Conniff here.
Indeed. All right. Yeah. People can shout out their names if they want while we're bringing people in here. Mike Conniff had the right idea. Mike Conniff is here. I know he's here. I see Brad Havens, Roger.
Hello.
Hello, Brad. Hello. There's Chris DePretis.
Hey, folks. Nice to meet you.
Right.
Hi, I'm Warren John.
All right. I see somebody that says F y'all, F call. Okay. That's much better. Okay. Better than F y'all, as I was thinking it was. Okay.
Yeah.
And who else do we have here? Is everybody invited and all accounted for? Okay. All right. If you can't get in, bang on the door again. Ring the doorbell. Well, you would. Okay. Does everybody admit? All right. I admit it. I'll admit to that. And
That may be my my colleague Francisco de la Calle.
all right. Well, good to know.
I hope that's him. It should be him.
It should be. Let's
Yeah.
hope. I got a Bob and a Bill. How about that? That's
Oh no, Rafael. No.
I'm really interested to see what this F call is going to say here. I know who you are. All right. Okay. I guess we can get started, everyone. A wise man once said, down these mean streets a man must go who is neither tarnished nor afraid. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the 13th annual LA Neo-Noir Novel Film and Script Festival. You can unmute yourself. It's all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Warren John. I see some finger clapping. Okay. Easy going beatnik kind of stuff. All right. This is how we're going to start off, everyone. We've got enough people in the audience right now to just get rocking. We only got an hour here. So what we're going to do is state your name, state your capacity, and state what your project is about. Here's an example. Hi, I'm Kerry Westbrook. I'm the director and creator of the LA Neo-Noir Novel Film and Script Festival, and this is a film festival that celebrates the greatness of neo-noir writing scripts, novels, and film from independent LA neo-noir producers and neo-noir producers from all around the world. Thank you. Da-da! Simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep it nice and sweet, and then we're going to get to the nitty-gritty later. Let's get to, let me let Casey Siegel in. And let's begin with Bill. Take it away, Bill. All right. There we go. I can't hear you, Bill. Okay, let me see. We're going to come back to you, Bill, in a second. Let me hear from Roger Barkley.
Good evening.
Good evening, Roger.
My name is Roger Barkley. I'm a British filmmaker. My film is called The Undertaker. We shot it 3 years ago. We're delighted to be invited to the LA Neo-Noir Festival. We created a UK neo-noir film, and I think we're very much looking forward to it being shown as part of the show.
Roger, tell me a little bit about your film. Can you give me some of the storyline? What's it about?
So it's called The Undertaker. It's about an undertaker who is faces a moral dilemma. He makes a Faustian pact with a local gangster to dispose of bodies. It's set in the 1960s. It's set in the north of England. It's filmed in a very grainy, old school way, and it's reminiscent of movies like Get Carter and all of those Ealing and the Pinewood movies in the UK of the 1950s and 60s.
Indeed. Thank you, Roger. We're going to come back to you with some more exciting questions. That was a great summary. We want to move on over now to Brad Havens. Take it away, Brad.
Well, hello, my name is Brad Havens, and I am the writer of the feature-length screenplay Becoming Emily. It's essentially a compilation of genres where you have crime drama, but you also have the core relationship between the characters. In this case, the two main characters are a father and daughter, and the daughter just happens to have some psychic abilities. Anyway, so Becoming Emily, I am the writer. I'm also an independent producer, and so I'm happy to talk with anybody. There's schedules, budgets, and all sorts of things in line with this. No stars attached yet, though.
Indeed, indeed. Brad Havens there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move over now, and I just want to say one thing. F y'all, or should I say F call, ladies and gentlemen. F call, take it away and explain what's going on.
Well, my name is Francisco. That's why you see an F de la calle. So that's the rest. I didn't have time to type the whole thing. I am co-author of a script, Crossroad of Conflict, and here I have with my friend and co-author Mike Conniff, and it's a magnificent and historical drama about World War II, about the Battle of Panama, the Panama Canal, and it's a long story, and it's part fiction, but the background is historical. That's the part that Mike is an expert on. He's an expert on South America and the Americas and South America and in special Panama and Brazil.
Indeed.
And it has a lot of action.
Right. Now
we are looking forward to have a movie out of it.
Indeed. Before we go any further, F call, I want to say F call so bad. It's so wonderful. It fits the neo-noir tradition. But Michael Conniff, he says you're the historian in regards to this project. Did you pull this information out of your butthole, or is this some real history that we really have to deal with? Speak about that, Michael Conniff.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me here, and thanks Francisco for starting us off. Actually, this is really mostly based on real history. I'm a historian. I've published 4 books of history on Panama, and I'm sort of the go-to historian for Panama. And one of the periods that I found the most fascinating was World War II, because here you had the United States with this this precious piece of land right in the middle of Panama, that's the Panama Canal, and you have 4 or 5 military bases there the United States is maintaining. And as the war starts to crank up and the war planners are deciding what they're going to do if they have to fight in Europe and Asia, the Panama Canal is going to be absolutely essential, because the Panama Canal allows the United States to have a 2-ocean fleet. There's a fleet in the Atlantic, a fleet in the Pacific, and when the war ramps up in Asia, all the ships and the planes fly through Panama to Asia. So that was the part that really fascinated me, and I can talk for days on the history of Panama, but this is the part that I thought might do well as a historical novel. So I drafted it as a historical novel called Crossroads of Conflict, because it was a crossroads where the Axis, the Germans, the Italians, and the Japanese all focused on Panama to try to knock out the Panama Canal. So that's kind of the basis of the story, how those enemies attempted to take out the Panama Canal, and how American and Panamanian defenders rose up and worked together and really carried out dramatic efforts to keep the Panama Canal safe and for the rest of the war. So it's the real thing. And I'm a real historian.
Right. You seem legitimate, Michael. I'm going to take your word for it. Next, we have the great Rafael Quiros, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, give a hand for Michael Conniff and F. Call. All right. Take it away, Rafael. You got it.
Hello, my name is Rafael Piros. I am a Brazilian writer and director. I wrote and directed Gravata, which is necktie for the gringos. It is a short film that talks about a boy who's named Michael. He is the younger brother of the head of the drug trade from his neighborhood in this small town where he lives. And he never liked the violence of his older brother's lifestyle. So, and he finds out a secret about him. So he decides to kidnap his younger sister and tries to run away from that life. However, his brother catches up.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Rafael. We're going to come right back to you in a second. I see that poster there. Did you design that? That's on the left-hand side? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yes, I designed it with a friend of mine who helped with the film as like doing a lot of things. It was a really like guerrilla kind of movie. So yeah, we did it by ourselves.
All right.
Let me interrupt you 1 second.
Go ahead. Yes,
Rafael. I want to tell you that I'm also a historian of Brazil. I lived 6 years in Brazil. I've several books of history on Brazil, and I've also drafted a novel about Brazil in World War II, which is a very dramatic and practically unknown story. So, Rafael, tudo bem?
Tudo bem.
Tudo bom.
Bravissimo. We want to move over now to a gentleman that's going to tell you how his project is better than all of you guys. The great, the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Bob. Take it away, Bob.
All right. Hi. I'm Bob Clark. I'm creator and co-director on Autistic Mode, which is an animated anthology project that was put together by me and some other people, all animators on the autism spectrum. And my portion of it is called Dream Catchers. It's a feature-length story on its own, interspersed in different chapters. And it's a very like sci-fi, cyberpunk take on noir. So it's like very much like inspired by things like Blade Runner, Paprika, Akira, and that's what we're aiming to pitch here.
I see. We're going to come back to you as well, Bob. Let's hear now from a gentleman that has a number of either books or a collection of something. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find that out. The legendary Chris DePretis, please. Take it away, Chris.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you all, having us out and selecting us for this festival. And yeah, it's largely movies. There are books back there too, but I'm definitely a physical media guy. Yeah, my name is Chris DePretis, and I'm calling from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm way out here in the East Bay, in a town called Livermore, and I'm the writer, director, producer of a film called East Bay Confidential, which is a small feature film that we put together over the last couple of years. And the movie is basically about a young guy called Miguel who is an Iraq War combat veteran. He has had a hard time overseas. He's come home. He's having a hard time connecting with people, having a hard time reintegrating into society, keeping a job, keeping a place to live. And then he ends up going out with a beautiful young woman who happens to be a social media influencer. And next morning, he wakes up alongside a dead body framed for murder. And the only person who was there to witness the events that took place was a young woman called Gladys, who was a former sex worker turned mole in a human trafficking organization working for the FBI. And the two of them kind of have to go on an adventure to clear their names. And of course, as the name suggests, the whole thing takes place here in the East Bay area.
Indeed, a feel-good family movie for the whole family to enjoy. I like that sound, a romance. Before we get into that, indeed, we want to hear from, have we heard from Casey Siegel? Let's hear from him.
Hey, I'm Casey. I'm Casey Siegel. Thank you. I'm the director and editor of Summer Confidential. That's actually based on a short film that was in the Ear Film Festival in 2019 called The Devil's Lettuce.
Okay, I remember that. Okay, go ahead. Excuse me.
It's a wacky it's a film noir dark comedy that's sort of blends the elevator pitch that I generally give people is it's if you took Naked Gun or any of those Leslie Nielsen, Steve Martin type of films, but directed by David Lynch. That's kind of what you would get with the Summer Confidential. It's a real strange, wacky journey with some really excellent cinematography and great performances, very improv heavy, some really good, really talented people working on it, great music, and yeah, it's a real fun ride.
Indeed, indeed. We're going to talk more to you, Casey, in a second. Casey, that's a popular name. I think when you had an R in the middle of that, well, never mind. We'll get into that. That's something else. Let's deal with Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, catch a neo-noir by the... Let's go with Bill, ladies and gentlemen. Bill, take it away. Let's see if we can hear Bill this time.
Hello.
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
All right. We don't want to Bill's. Okay, go ahead. Take it away.
Reminds me of what my mom used to say.
Touche.
Bill.
All right.
That's when I was in trouble.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm Billy George Williams, director, producer, songwriter, scriptwriter of Indigenous Success Stories.
Yes.
It's about a boy taken out of his home at the age of 3 and taken to residential school here in Canada. And he was abused in a lot of ways and almost killed, thrown down a set of steps by the principal, who is the main priest, down a set of steps. And if you believe in angels, as he did, he was captured by an angel in the midst of falling, rolling down the steps, and the angel gently props him down at the bottom. The priest, the principal, never saw the angel, but he sees that the person is still alive. He goes running down the steps, grabs his arm, puts him in the 5x5 cage, handcuffs him. And this is how a lot of the residential school students were disciplined. If they didn't eat their meals or chores or up at a certain hour, they were whipped almost to death by the nuns, and then caged down what we call the dungeon, in a cage and handcuffed. And they talked about this boy, as a lot of people did throughout his life, about what to do with Billy. And they transferred me out. I was taken to residential school, or the Supreme Court, made ward of the court, and then handed over to social service. And then this little boy who was taken to the Williams, and this is why the boy became an advocate, because it still happens today, where social service wanted to hide this boy from the parents and family. So he was born Billy George, and they named him Billy George Williams and put him under the Williams name. And while I was there, that I'm always of the mind that you learn something from your parents, guardian, whoever it is, you learn something from them. I don't know what it, whatever that is. What I've learned is advocacy, because you don't need to hear to see that your parent is fighting on your behalf. And that's what Mrs. Williams did. They have passed away now, with the doctors of getting my legs and ears operated on. And the first time he walks straight, he was 10. And the first time he heard, he was 12. When social service found this out, they brought the money down of what they were getting, $1,800 a month. And in the 60s and 70s, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they brought the money down of the day of what foster parents were getting at those times, which is $300-400. Well, the Williams didn't like that, so they threw me out and said that we're giving you 2 weeks to get out, or we throw you out. And when I went to my social workers,
it was breathtaking.
Sorry, that
no worries. Hey, don't let me stop you, Bill, but I want you to save some of it for the audience here. It's so juicy. Right. We're gonna come back to you in a second. But before I go to the next person, let me ask you, Bill, is this somewhat semi-autobiographical? Is this
documentary? It's a documentary series of indigenous people. The second series, the first series is about myself. The second series is about people that quit drinking. And I'm in my 39th year of sobriety.
Hey, congratulations. Woohoo! Yes. I'm on my second year of getting toe up sloppy drunk. So we almost in the middle ground. We're meeting there. Let me go over here to Brad. Did we speak to you, Brad? I'm having a senior moment right here. Did we speak to Brad Havens? You're good? Okay. Hey, man, I didn't forget you. I like to end all of everything I do with a slice of chocolate, so does my girlfriend. But we're going to get into that. That's another story. We want to hear now from the great, the one and only Warren G. It's not who we're hearing from, but Warren John, ladies and gentlemen. Warren John, take it away.
Hi, I'm Warren John. Thank you again for hosting this, and this is my first time ever doing something like this, so excited to be here. The script I'm here for is called Spree. I'm the screenwriter for it. It is a murder mystery caper, and it follows two groups. It follows a friend group and a peer group after one of the individuals is found dead after art heist gone wrong. And the script is similar to, not similar, but it is inspired by Scream, where it is a self-aware take on the slasher genre, where I feel like Scream was focusing on teenagers, and many slashers do focus on teenagers. And then this is a self-aware murder mystery that is commenting, or not criticizing, but commenting on the kind of juvenile nature of slashers and evolving it. Sometimes with friends, I call it a coming of age satire for the slasher genre.
Would you say
coming of age manifesto?
Yes. Is this a spoof, a comedy, or a little bit of those elements, or how would you describe this again? What would you say?
A satire. It's more of a satire than a spoof. There's comedic elements to it, but it's comedy, but then there's like he comedy, whereas like there's a bit tongue in cheekness for the self-aware audience.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a limited time here. We want to get to some important stuff. Before we get into the deep, heavy, nitty-gritty questions that I'm expecting you neo-noir creators to have the answers to, as I certainly don't, we're going to ask you trivia lists, those of you who know something about neo-noir. First of all, raise your hand if you're a fan of film noir. Raise your hand if you're a film noir fan. Who has seen a number of film noir movies? Raise your hand. Okay, so you guys seem to be the authority on that, huh? I see. So I guess I'll take, did you raise your hand, Chris DePredis? Okay, you got 10 seconds, Chris, to give me 5 film noir film titles. And the clock starts now.
All right, Sweet Smell of Success, The Big Heat, Double Indemnity, Sunset Boulevard, Asphalt Jungle. Is that past one?
Okay, you got it. You got it. I was expecting you not to get that. I'm going to have to give you, Chris, for that great answer, 5,000 cents for a Starbucks gift card, ladies and gentlemen.
Cool.
Everybody give it up for Chris DePredis. That
Cool,
was
thanks.
a great answer. Do we have any neo-noir aficionados in the room? If you like neo-noir, raise your hand. And if you know anything about movies, raise your hand for neo-noir. Okay, Bob is kind of putting it up. Warren is shaking his finger a little bit here. Let's try Bob. Let's try Bob out. Bob, you spell his name backwards, you get the same damn thing. That's what I like about Bob. So we're going to ask you, Bob, give me, you know anything about David Lynch?
Oh, sure.
Okay. You got 10 seconds to give me 5 David Lynch movies. The clock starts now.
Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, Lost Highway, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire.
Okay, all
Twin
right.
Peaks
Okay, show off. We got it, man. You got it. We're going to raise the ante for you because that took a lot of guts. We're going to give you 10,000 cents for a spot that's just came out now. It's an Irish spot called Les McDonald's. McDonald's is the spot you're going to get the tickets to. We're going to make sure you get those, Bob. And now let's get to some important nitty-gritty questions here. Brad, I'm going to start with you. This is not related to you. Go ahead. What'd you say?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
All set.
Brad Havens. Do you have women in your production, in your storyline?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Why do you have women? What gives you the right to have women in your story? Why would you you're not a woman, I don't suspect you are. What gives you the ability to write from a woman's perspective in a genuine? I've had a number of women tell me, I'm not a woman, to which I say, touche, you got me. So what makes you feel that your women characters are legitimate and respectable? Take it.
Well, okay. I'd like to point out, first of all, that the second lead in the screenplay is a 16-year-old girl.
Mm.
And in terms of trying to frame a mindset for that age and that gender, I will simply say that I was very plot motivated. And by that, I mean I was interested in getting into the details of the father-daughter relationship. Now, the fundamental story is that it takes place in contemporary time, and that 16 years prior to this time, when she was born, when Emily was born, her father gave her up for adoption. Now, she's able to discover this because of her psychic abilities, and she's also able to use those abilities to sort of backtrack through other people's memories and trace who her real father is and where he is. And turns out he's a decorated police detective. And so what was important there was using that framework of the crime story to allow these two people to meet. Now, what happens when a father and daughter meet who have never met before? Well, there's a lot of get to know you that takes place. So in terms of circling back to your question, the male-female relationships that you see in the story are not presented from an emotional standpoint that would lead you to wonder, why does a person... I'm not into detailing the life cycle of a marriage, in other words. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm detailing relationships between characters who need to get to know each other, and the audience also needs to get to know them.
Indeed.
So we put the genders into familiar environments, familiar frameworks where they can act intimately between each other in terms of sharing information, like the father-daughter getting to know each other, or we also see police officers in different, and counselors, and there's a bartender. So we see different positions, different areas of relationships, and we see those people interact in very reasonable and authentic ways in those individual scenarios.
Indeed.
So I'm not really into exploring gender conflict. I'm into exploring A to B to C gets us to a happy ending and a satisfied audience with a good story.
Indeed. Brad Havens, while I got you on the line, give us briefly, what are you working on next, and how can we get in touch with you if we want some more of this good neo-noir material?
Oh, well, thank you. I'm actually, I have another screenplay. It's called Vice versus Vampires, and I've already put together a radio play of that feature-length screenplay. Now that I have that audio set together, the next ambition is I'm learning Blender so I can turn it into an actual animated feature. And essentially do that on my own. My website is called mountainfiremedia.com. Mountainfiremedia.com. You can also do a search for me under bradsmovies.com. That's my handle on YouTube and social media and all of that, bradsmovies.com. So that or Mountain Fire Media, either way, I'm easily accessible. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for being here. You can hang around if you'd like. We may come back later, but thank you so much for your information.
Absolutely. Thank you for making this happen. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Give it up for Brad. And the other guy too. We want to go over here. We're going to start with the chocolate early tonight again. We're going to go back to Warren John. Warren John, I have a question for you. You're Black, is that correct? And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm Black.
Okay.
Yeah, like am I African American?
I got to get my glasses, but yeah. Thank you. Yes, okay.
But,
let me ask you this, Warren. Do you have a responsibility with your films to portray people of Black descent in a certain way, or do you just try to make a damn good movie? Is there a conundrum there, or do you have anything to say in regards to that? Speak on
sure. Sure. I feel like I do sometimes write an identity. Just for this one, it was mostly focused around LGBTQ folk. I mean, the characters can talk in a certain way, and that way can be painted in a certain race. But for this script, I wasn't focused on, I don't want to say unfortunate, but it wasn't the main focus was race. Like you can tell from the way someone's talking that they're Black, or from a name that they're brown. But I don't feel like I have I do have a responsibility to portray Black people in a responsible way. But sometimes I feel like the story is better, not story is better, but the story is better when I'm not worried about how someone is being portrayed, or if I'm portraying a Black person in a certain light, I can have fun with that and play with people's expectations and almost make that person less of a suspect because of how social order is arranged.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Warren John. Is there anything you're working on now that you want to speak on, and how can we get in touch with you for some great work in the future?
So I'm new to screenwriting. Like I'm like putting things down. I need a website, but I have an Instagram. You want to follow that? WBJ.JR. That's me. Get in contact with me.
Okay, we'll go there if we want some great neo-noir stuff.
Exactly.
All right.
What I'm working on now, I'm sorry. What I'm working on now, I'm working on a screenplay about a werewolf brother duo called Dog and ME. It is about a man who works in a medical examiner's office, and his brother is given the curse of the werewolf, and he hides his brother by also feeding him some of the bodies he has in his medical examiner's office. So
I often wonder about that. Would my life be harder as an African American or African American werewolf? I think about that sometimes.
I think life would be better as an African American werewolf 100%.
Indeed, indeed. That's a consensus. Okay, we're gonna come back to that later, Dwarren. Thank you so much. Michael Conniff, something is pressing on my brain here that I need you to answer for me. Is there an obligation, in your opinion, for people to stay close to authentic history if they're telling a story? Like, can you take as much liberty as you'd like if you're telling a great story and it's interesting? Can you kind of spice up the details or lie a little bit in the history? Did you do that in your project, or just speak on that? How true do you have to be to the actual history of the story? Take it away, Michael.
Well, there are two parts of that. The answer. One is I tried to stay, as a historian, I tried to stay pretty close to the history, and I created invented fictional people and fictional stories, episodes in my novel. But when Francisco, bless his heart, when he took over the job of turning that novel into a screenplay, he took many more liberties with the history, and that was fine. It really did spice it up. Although the story itself has lots of spicy parts about its spies and giant submarines and air attacks on the Panama Canal. So there's a lot of drama in there. But Francisco really did a good job of creating some of the personal conflicts and love stories and rivalries in the script. So I got to say it doesn't look much like the original history nowadays, but it's still, I mean, obviously the canal and the World War II and that sort of thing is still there. But Francisco did a really good job of turning it into something really engaging and fascinating. And I think it'll make a good movie.
Indeed, indeed. Michael, what are you working on after this, and how could we get in touch with you for some more good work?
Good. Well, I said I've got the novel set in Brazil, Brazil in World War II. There was Brazil sent a division of soldiers to Italy to fight in World War II alongside the Fifth Army in Italy. But that's not a screenplay. And I've got another novel called The Great Panama Railroad Caper, set in the 1990s in Panama. It's the resurrection of the Panama Railroad, and it's kind of an international intrigue story. But that's just a novel that's published by on Kindle.
Indeed.
And since I'm published many books in history, Michael Conniff is the way to get a hold of me. It's just Google me and you'll find me.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Michael. I want to speak now, take the camera over here to Rafael Piros. Rafael, I'm looking at your poster there on the left-hand side, and all I can see is a head and a guy running out of a head and another person's head looking suspiciously in the background. There's a lot going on in that poster right there, Michael. Excuse me, Rafael. It reminds me of a movie I saw recently called Terrifier, where this gentleman had a chainsaw and he was blending up some balls, and there was a lot of sodomizing. It was so disgusting. My girlfriend took me for some reason, thought that would be a nice outing. I'm still traumatized from that event. Rafael, I don't know what my point was. Oh, I know what my point is. What is the responsibility of the filmmaker? Can we just, as film noir, neo-noir makers, can we put as much blood and guts in the thing as we want, where we have brains exploding and balls getting jumbled around with a chainsaw? Where's the limit? Where do we stop, Rafael? Is there a stopping ledge, or do we just go for the jugular all the time? Take it away, Rafael, in terms of how much violence is acceptable in the neo-noir film, according to you. Take it away.
Well, honestly, I do come from the philosophy that you can do whatever the fuck you want. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can.
Oh, it's too late, man. You already got out. Go ahead.
So as far as I know, you can do whatever the fuck you want, and I come from that philosophy. However, it is interesting coming from me, since this short film, like, despite the impression that the poster might give, it actually has no blood at all. It does have gunfire, it does have violence, but it really relies mostly on the psychological violence and the, the drama of everything. So I just think that yes, you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should, if that makes sense. You just should go with what makes the most sense and what really like service or supports the story, I guess. I know it's a bit of a maybe a cliche to say, but yeah, I think you can do whatever you want.
Indeed. Thanks, Raphael. Raphael, what do you have coming up next, and how can we get in touch with you?
So my next project, I don't know, I don't have an English translation to this one's title, but I'm working on my next short film. It's called Aguardente. Um, I don't know how to translate that into English. However,
what does it mean, Raphael?
It is the name of a specific type of alcoholic beverage. So it talks about a girl. It is in a neo-noir kind of spectrum, I guess. It follows a girl who tries to break up with her boyfriend after finding out a secret about him. He has a history with alcoholism. And as soon as she is about to break up with him, she realizes that he's actually drunk and he broke his sobriety. So she tries to back up from that and just leave it for another day. However, he tries to get the better of her. So yeah, we are working on that. We are looking to shoot at either next month or even in January. So I'm balls deep into this.
Indeed, balls deep. We're not giving a fuck. I got those two messages from you. Okay, where can we reach you, Raphael, if we need to speak with you?
So yeah, I am also really just starting this career. You can reach me at my Instagram, I guess. You can give me a DM if you want at Rafa Piros. It is my name, not the complete name, but Rafa Piros at Instagram. And yeah.
All right, all right. Casey Siegel, ladies and gentlemen, Casey Siegel. Casey, tell me something about your story again. Give me a brief summary again on what your story is about.
It's a dark comedy film noir about Guthrie Hayward, who it's sort of stemmed from an article that I read about The Big Lebowski, which described The Big Lebowski as a stoner noir. So this is sort of a stoner noir comedic film noir project where Detective Guthrie Hayward is out to solve the mystery of the missing weed, and also we've got the femme fatale, and she's not what she seems, and mysteries within mysteries, and also very, very silly.
Mysteries within a mystery, a riddle wrapped within an enigma. The Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian. That has nothing to do with that. But we'll get back to what you're talking about. Casey, you're all over the place here with this stoner noir here. How many different noirs can we exist in? My question to you, Casey, is why neo-noir? Why does that genre appeal to you? If you're doing stoner and weed stuff, what is it about this genre that speaks to you or that you wanted to produce something in that genre?
Well, that first short film that we did, The Devil's Lettuce, was sort of just a silly weed comedy thing that we did for fun, and the writer of that had so much fun working on that he wanted to turn it into a feature. And I really wanted to kind of get away from the weed element a little bit and do something a little bit more accessible for a wide audience. And I've always been a huge fan of film noir, and largely for things like the lighting and the kind of, I felt that it was really right for parody, because it's already kind of over dramatized. A lot of the performances are very hyper serious, and we kind of it made it very easy to throw in just ridiculous circumstances while the actors are responding to them in that very hyper serious sort of way. So it was really ripe for parody. I felt, and I just I enjoyed the opportunity to do it both as a comedy and also to really enjoy the whole sandbox of noir with the harsh shadows and intense lighting and dramatic framing and really so much of the film beyond the comedy is based in the cinematography of it.
Indeed.
We had a lot of fun with.
Wonderful, Casey. How can we reach you for some new material? And what's your next project you're working on?
Well, you can find me on my website, rainmountainproductions.com. And my next project is a web series that I'm developing. There's actually a teaser that I did about 9 years ago that I'm coming back to called Zombocalypse. It starts out as a comedic zombie survival guide, and until the subject of the tutorials becomes aware that he's the subject of the tutorials and tries to escape. So it turns into more of a psychological thriller.
Indeed. Thanks, Casey. I'm going to keep in touch with you because I want to talk to you about a crime detective weed movie that features a dog and a cat in the background running around.
Okay.
Right. We'll talk later.
That's good. All right.
We got 4 more people that we need to talk to, but I want to loosen up the mood a little bit or make it a little more tense with a question for someone, once again, who's a great neo-noir fan. Raise your hand if you're a neo-noir fan in the house once more. Okay, I got those 3 guys. I already talked with Bob. I think I gave Casey one. Did you get a question yet, Casey, for the big prizes and stuff?
No.
Okay, you got one right, Chris. I asked you a question before. Okay, and did I ask Bob one of the questions? Okay, Casey, you're the man. That name's such a great name, Casey, Carey. It's similar to mine. That's why I'm.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very close.
So, Casey, you got 10 seconds to give me a great line from neo-noir, a great line of dialogue. The clock starts now.
Here's looking at you, kid. That's more of a noir, I guess.
Okay, all right, okay.
On the spot.
I'm feeling in a generous mood. We're gonna give you something for that. 500 good cents worth of Del Taco, sir. It's a new Spanish restaurant that came out. Del Taco. Do they have that in your area, Casey?
I don't think so. Maybe. I travel.
Okay.
Sure.
They got Starbucks. Starbucks is we'll do something.
Okay.
Okay, Bob. You're not off the hook. 10 seconds, Bob. Your greatest neo-noir line you ever heard.
You're a pretty nosy fella, ain't you? You know what we do with people who stick their noses and they don't belong? They lose their noses.
Oh my God, this guy, he's a keeper. Okay, all right, 10,000 cents for you, Bob. Where is it going to go to a diner of your choice? You got Del Taco, you got McDonald's, the new Irish restaurant we're talking about. There's a prostitutional bar called Wendy's. They got those people over there. What do you want to work with, Bob? What's your choice? What's your poison?
Let's keep it with McDonald's. I can get the Happy Meal for people.
Indeed. Why be sad when you can be happy with a Happy Meal? All right. Let's move on now to the important material, ladies and gentlemen. The indigenous LGBTQ struggle of sobriety. Actually, let's just talk with Bill. Bill, do we have a responsibility to put all of our issues in the script? you know, you don't have the black issue that you're dealing with, but you're dealing with a plethora of other good stuff, juicy stuff. You got the LGBT, you got the indigenous, you got the sobriety, you got, my God, you got a whole plethora of items. Do you feel obligated to put your whole story? Who's coming? What the hell is that? What is it? Somebody
Mitchell
came.
Lamour.
Okay, Mitchell. All right, welcome, Mitchell. Oh, it's almost over. We're gonna get you in a minute, Mitchell. Hang tight. Talk to us, Bill, about your obligation to express your identity in films. Take it away, Bill.
It's very important to me that people know who the indigenous people are in their community, in my community, in our community. And what I want to diffuse the fact that everybody in the indigenous community drinks, or they're living in a messy house, yard. And it's not about that. It's about who we are today, and that the things that we do is what I want to implement in the films, as well as I have a television station through Roku. So I'm advertised all over the world and everything. So it's very important to me to let people know who we are today.
Bill, let me ask you, what are you working on in the future, and how can we get in touch with you for some more good neo-noir material?
The next project in this series is about people that have quit drinking in the Indigenous First Nations community. And to get a hold of me, I think the best way is smoke signals. You just go to the top of the mountain.
Oh,
and I'm just kidding.
Hey, you had me going there, man. Okay, go ahead.
That's what my mom used to do, or said when her mother did signal to the father, his grandfather, when he was at the beach, saying supper is ready.
All right.
But anyways, no, you can reach me at BGW or admin at bgwfilmstudios.com. And you could reach me through you're making me think, through the social media, at BGW Film Studios. And I'm also a First Nations studio as well. So I do accept projects, I give out projects and everything. So I'm a director, producer, CEO of BGW Film Studios.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Bill. We may come back to you in a second. Hang tight. You know, we need to deal with this Mitchell Lamour's character right here. Let's hear from him. Mitchell, tell me briefly, what's your name, capacity? Well, I know your name. What's your capacity with your project? Are you the screenwriter, director, producer? And just give me just a little brief summary of your project. Take it away.
Real quick, sorry for jumping into this so late.
No
Thanks
worries.
for having me. I love it. My name is Mitchell Lamour. I'm a writer, director, and cinematographer on this project. A little short called The Nose Knows, starring this guy. That's why he's on the screen. This is my lead actor.
All right.
His name's Odin. You know, crime solving dog, you know, detective. For a fun little piece that I made. I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it. Excited about that you guys, it's going to be on this platform and everyone gets to see it.
All right. I want to ask you something, Mitchell. I'm giving everybody the question of the evening tonight. The question I have for you, Mitchell, is there's a squirrel. What's that squirrel's name? Peanut, a world popular squirrel that's just been euthanized recently. Something to do with them is suspecting he had rabies, but I suspect because he was a black squirrel and he had the biggest balls on the block, they just felt they had to deal with him in some aspect. My question to you is—
Do you mean biggest nuts on a block?
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you. I was looking for the word. Thank you, Warren. Warren knows about that. Well, that's another story. But my question to you, Mitchell, is I'm going to ask you the question I asked the other gentleman. We're taking a little outside of the neo-noir genre to put dogs into neo-noir. Why did you pick neo-noir for this genre to express this with your dog? Explain that to us.
Oh, um, well, I mean, I think it's just the poetic nature of the inner monologue, the mystery, being able to, um, being able to visualize through the dog's vision. When you look at everything at 6 foot, it's 6 feet high, it's one thing, but when you can take things to the ground, it's a whole things take on a different meaning. So it's you're able to put a lot of curveballs, to the audience, when you're shooting from 2 feet off the ground. And I think it's just a fun medium, and I think it was a great challenge. I got really fun with his world, with his thoughts. When I was writing, I was like, all right, what are some like dog related things within solving crime? And there's the obvious ones you can go to, but how do I take it a step further and not just be so generic? So the challenge was fun, and I just love the poetic beats that you can put in with with solving a mystery.
Indeed. Mitchell, what are you working on next, and how can we get in touch with you?
Well, my website, Mitch Lamoureux, you can get in touch with me there. I'm on all the socials and all that. I'm working on a sequel to what I shot, The Nose Knows, where Odin gets a partner, kind of like an aloof partner that always hits the mark on his crime solving, but Odin doesn't trust him. That kind of thing. I'm working on that. And then, well, those are shorts. I'm, also got a feature going that's not dog related, and, more of a desert crime Western kind of a piece I'm working on right now.
Sounds good, Mitchell. So you mentioned how we can get in touch with you. Yes, I just heard that. Yes.
Yeah, MitchLamoureux.com is my website.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Because I think Casey wants to talk to you about a cat dog thing that he's doing, a detective thing. We're going to talk later about that.
Right.
Thanks, Mitchell. Bob, I've been looking forward to talking to Bob. Anybody that has the first name, if you spell it backwards, it says the same damn thing. I want to talk to that guy. So, Bob, let me ask you something. We just had an election. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. And a lot of people are upset, on either side. I see a lot of people jumping out of the windows for both sides, and other people were getting ready to jump out the window, So let me ask you, Bob, as a filmmaker, do you have an obligation to create stuff that has a message or a warning to society with your work? Is your work some type of coup de grace where we look at this and say, I get it, like Network or something else? Or do you want to just make a damn good movie? What's your take on that, Bob? Do you have an obligation to the children? People are always talking about these children. What about the children? What about the children, Bob? Go ahead.
Well, I think of it in terms of what are the types of movies that I wanted to watch when I was a child? What are the sorts of things that I wanted to watch? And the types of stuff that I wanted to watch were the things I could get away with watching. So I wanted to watch, like, I first saw the movie, like, Akira on television when I was like 7 or 8 years old on the Sci-Fi Channel. And that's the sort of stuff that a lot of kids want to watch sometimes. They want to watch the stuff that's rated R, that's inappropriate, the type of stuff that, maybe a new administration wants to ban and wants to label as being unsafe for people. And I think that it is every filmmaker and every artist's not just right, but duty to make something that will get banned. That's what you want to do.
I'd like to have Francisco say a few words about his role as a filmmaker, as a director.
Okay.
He's fairly new at this, but I think he's got a great future. So, Francisco, please unmute.
Go ahead, Francisco.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Well,
answer that before you go, Francisco. We just cut Bob off, so you got to have a good reason to tell Bob why he's fucking wrong. Go in there and talk about what I just said. Do you have a responsibility to be of some type of moral authority to the people? Go ahead. Go ahead, F call. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go.
If we filmmakers, we have a responsibility with the message that we
impart on the people. Yes.
Well, I think it depends on the film you are working on. There are some movies that the message demands that you treat the topic with respect, and you do it focus on that community or that kind of people. But there are other movies that they just have the target to the general audience, just to entertain. And as long as you are polite, I would say, I think both cases are fine, and they are separate things, separate entities.
To pop in real quick.
I just in Francisco's defense, in his script based on my novel, he threw in some pretty good sexy scenes. So there's a little bit of immorality in there.
Okay. I'll have to go back and take a look at that. Okay, Mitchell, what were you talking about? Speak on it.
No, just real quick. It's fun pushing the limit. You gotta, if you're telling stories, it's important to say something new, to really push the envelope. You know, you don't need to get that crazy factor that you're gonna, put your name on the line, but it's good teasing and getting right to it. Show the world something new. I think it's important.
Agree.
How do we take a script, and then how do we mold it, and how do we, when it comes time to shoot, and how do we get the most of that scene that's different? So it's not just the standard thing we've seen before, because we're starting to repeat. How do we create new from what's already out there? I don't know. There's still a lot of fun to be had.
Indeed. Bob, tell us where we can reach you for some new material.
I'm at Neo Westchester on basically all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever that is. I think YouTube as well, but I'll have to check. Right now, I'm still working on more Dreamcatchers in the future, but also just doing freelance animation work.
Indeed.
That's what you got to do.
Thank you, Bob. F. Call, tell us where we can reach you in the future for good material.
Answering Mike's question, yeah, you can find me in the website of the last project that we did. That was my first film. Is called 300 Days of Sun art 300 Days of Sun art, and my email is in the website. And answering Mike too, our next project could be doing a proof of concept for this script, because Crossroad of Conflict, it's a movie that will require a lot of resources. So doing a proof of concept, doing a small film just as a teaser of a bigger movie, that would be a challenge, but I think it's something that we can enjoy doing it and producing it very well.
Thank you so much.
Using all the artificial intelligence and all the tools that we have these days.
All right. Indeed. Touche. I got two more guys I need to talk to, and that's Casey Siegel, yes? And Chris DePretis. Both of you guys haven't had your questions yet. Am I correct in that? Okay. So let's deal with Chris DePretis over there, looking smart as heck with those books behind him or whatever those things are. Chris.
Movies, mostly movies.
Good. Okay. Woo. I was wondering. I didn't want him to be no drug paraphernalia or nothing like that. We got a family wholesome show over here.
Sure.
Chris, tell me a little bit about your film briefly again, just a brief summary.
Yeah, mine is the Iraq War veteran guy who is not assimilating back into society, who gets framed up for a murder and has to go clear his name, hunt down a former sex worker who had witnessed what had really happened when he awoke alongside a dead body.
Yes. Okay. Sounds
I'm
pretty.
sorry. Is
Go
it
ahead.
psychological? I've been wondering if is it more like psychological or
Is
is
it
it like a
psychological, Chris?
straightforward neo-noir?
I'd say it's a fairly straightforward crime film. Yeah, more straightforward.
Again, Chris, where are you getting these stories from? Are you making this stuff up? Did this actually happen to somebody? How do you make this sound legitimate and believable? Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I think that the frame up kind of idea is just pulled from your kind of typical noir formula. But I'm a veteran myself, so a lot of the attempts to reintegrate and a lot of the struggle that the character has with connecting with people I pulled from life. And I tried to make the characters authentic to people that I know, while of course the tale itself is a more classical kind of noir story, where
So
those
tell us
characters
where
are
we can
pulled.
reach you. Tell us where we can reach you, Chris.
Yes, please use Instagram at Chris DePretis. I'm also on the other social media, but I prefer Instagram if possible. That'd be perfect.
Thank you so much, Chris. Hang tight. Casey Segal, in a nutshell, what the hell do you want to say, man? What do you want to add that I didn't ask you about? Take it away.
I don't know. I think I said everything before. I'm really proud of this movie that we put together. It was a real labor of love, and a lot of people worked for a lot less than they normally would, and it looks great for for a low budget production, and I'm really excited to show it off on your platform, and thank you for having us.
And how do we get in touch with you, Casey?
You can go to my website, rainmountainproductions.com.
Thank you so much, Casey. You gentlemen, it's all been a blast. Remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Thank you, my friends. Be well. We out of here. Woo-hoo.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace. Keep enjoying that chocolate.